Last we discussed the masah of khuffain. Now going on to that which nullifies the wudu. That which nullifies the wudu firstly is substances that exit the private organs. So that's urine, pre-seminal fluid, discharge or wind. Alright? That's besides the semen, that will break the wudu. And then the person vomits a mouthful. The person vomits in such a way that he is unable. What's a mouthful? A mouthful is when a person is unable to keep it in. If it's so much that it will come out, yet he was forced to let it out, that is regarded as a mouthful. Except if it's phlegm. If it's a lot of phlegm, then that is phlegm, and that's not from the stomach, and that's from the throat or from the chest, and so a person's wudu would not break then. Another is the flowing of blood or pus from a wound onto a place that requires cleansing. So any place on the body, wherever ghusl or wudu is required, so that includes in the nose and or in the mouth as well, if blood flows and gets onto that place, wudu will break. That's according to the Hanafi madhab. Right? If it had enough force to flow but was stopped. Now if we have, perhaps we have a wound on our hand and then we put a plaster over to keep it in. The fact that it was able to flow out, a person's wudu would still break. So by putting the plaster would not be preventing the wudu from breaking, the wudu will still be broken in that way. And if blood from the mouth or throat overpowers the saliva. So now if a person has a bleeding in the mouth, and perhaps the person puts a toothpick in and a blood comes out, that does not break the wudu. When the wudu breaks, if a person spits out. If a person spits and that spit is overpowered by the blood, then a person's wudu would be broken. Right? And then when it comes to sleep, if a person falls into a deep sleep leaning against something in a way that if it was removed, he would fall. So if a person is sleeping and he goes into a deep sleep, then if he's leaning on something, then his wudu would break. Because if a person is just sitting normally, and if he goes into the deep sleep, he's going to fall. So here if he's leaning, and then or like the person is laying down and he sleeps, then his wudu would break. Except if the person's rear is very firmly seated down. So if a person is perhaps a big sized person, he's sitting in a plane, and now he's firmly seated down, then there's no possibility of him passing wind. The main thing why wudu breaks when a person is sleeping is because a person's organs all get weak and he can pass wind. But if a person is sitting, he is unable of sitting firmly, sitting with his buttocks directly on the ground or on the seat, then it's not possible for him to pass the wind, and so his wudu would not break then. Similarly, with wudu is loss of consciousness. Person becomes insane, a person experiences drunkenness, person's wudu will break, because then his body loses its energy, he's unable to keep in his wudu. But then also if a person is laughs loud in salah. What is loud laughter? That's only in salah, not out of salah. What is loud salah? If the person next to him can hear it. Person next to him can hear it is regarded as loud laughter. So that is what breaks the wudu. Now at times some people would experience maybe excessive bleeding. Right? So his wudu is continuously breaking, now he can't perform his salah. Then what happens? There's a concept called the ma'dhur. That is the excused person. That is, a person would become excused if for an entire salah period he is unable to keep the wudu because of a certain ailment. So perhaps a person's finger is bleeding. Then for that entire salah period he cannot find the time of making the wudu and performing the salah. Then at the end of that salah time he becomes a ma'dhur. He's rendered excused. And when he's excused, now what happens is, say now we in the time of Dhuhr now, until Salatul Asr a person just can't find a period where his wudu, he can make a wudu and perform the salah and his wudu did not break. And so what he will then do is he now becomes a ma'dhur. At the beginning of every salah time, he needs to renew his wudu. Everything else that breaks the wudu will normally break the wudu, but this ailment that he's experiencing will not break the wudu. When the salah time terminates, immediately his wudu will terminate, he needs to make a new wudu. Alright? And that is for that ailment itself only. Then what happens is, how long does he remain a ma'zur, how long does he remain an excused person? Is as long as that ailment continues. So as long as, if a person's finger was bleeding, as long as it continues bleeding, even if it happens once in that entire salah time. So now from now till Asr, continuously it was bleeding, so he didn't get an opportunity of performing wudu and performing salah. So now by Asr he is now rendered a ma'zur. He is rendered an excused person. But now in Asr time, it bled, Maghrib time it bled, Isha time it also bled. As long as it bled once in that time, he is a ma'zur. Now tomorrow, Zohar to Asr, and through that entire period, not once did it bleed, he is now no longer regarded as a ma'zur. Alright? So it's quite simple, that aspect of being a ma'zur. And then finally, our discussion before we go on to the introduction to Salah, is that at times we find ourselves that a person is unable to find water. So if a person in a radius of 1.7 kilometers, he cannot find water, and if he's going to find it, he's going to miss that salah, then he can make tayammum, alright? He can make the Dryad Illusion. Also, if a person perhaps, because of some situation, he cannot take water, or is extremely weak and he cannot water cannot be brought to him, then he can make tayammum, right? Or water is perhaps harmful for his skin, he can then make tayammum. So tayammum is, firstly you need to have the intention. So when we said wudu, we didn't need to have the intention, but when it comes to tayammum now, we need to have the intention that I'm making tayammum. And then what do? We recite the Bismillah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and then we strike our hands onto the ground, onto sand, or anything that is natural, alright? But could have dust, alright? So a normal brick or a normal brick wall, we touch onto it, and thereafter we drop down any stones that we might have, possible stones, and thereafter wipe the entire face. Wipe the entire face like we're making wudu, and that every part get covered. So it's not, we need to make sure that like in wudu, every hair to get wet, here every part has to get be affected with that towards one's head. Then, so this we did our face once. Then you do your hands again, you strike your hands again, drop off all stones or harmful objects, and then to the right hand, including the elbows, and thereafter the left hand, including the elbow. So that wiping both the hands completely, making sure every part does get touched by one's hand, and that would be the complete tayammum, inshallah.